Assalamu alaikum, welcome back everyone to chapter 2 of the Arduino series. In this video we're going to cover the serial monitor. It's going to be about the serial monitor. We're going to learn how to activate it and how to utilize it correctly. We're going to go through, I believe, 5 or 6 commands that will increase our versatility when it comes to using the Arduino software. Following this one, there will be 2 other videos that will be linked to the serial monitor. One will be about transmitting sentences through the serial monitor to the Arduino that could include numbers, and one will be about transmitting just numbers. To begin with, you want to make sure your Arduino software looks similar to mine. You just want to go to File, Examples, Basics, Bare Minimum. Next, there's only one important command that you need that tells the Arduino to activate the serial monitor. This begins with serial.begin with a lowercase b, open bracket, and then the baud rate. The Arduino's default baud rate, which is the unit of speed of communication, of serial communication, is 9600. Next, I'm going to tell you the 2 other commands. These commands will allow us to present data that has no influence into other functions to the serial monitor. These commands start with serial.print, and you want to open bracket as well. Obviously, in between these 2 brackets, you want to have double quotations. Within the double quotations, whichever text or numbers you want to write. And the second one is also similar to the previous one, serial.print. However, with this one, it starts with ln, L line n new. Not sure why it's like that. However, it basically means new line. This will present a new line after what comes in between its brackets. So for instance, if I write Ware explain, it will give me Ware explained, and then whatever comes after Ware explained will be onto the next line. Obviously in between double quotations, semicolon. This is a good example of what I mean. Obviously, I started off with the serial.begin. You have to start off with this command in order to activate the serial monitor. However, I do utilize the concept of ln pretty well here. The first print command does not contain the ln. Therefore, the command following after, whatever is printed after it, will also be in the same line. You have taken into consideration spaces. You do have to manually place them. I could have removed the space here and added it before the T. It doesn't make a difference. However, it just has to be there. Otherwise, it will be joined together. However, I do make use of the ln onto the new line, just so that everything is not congested onto one line on the script. Obviously, you want to connect your Arduino. Without connecting your Arduino, it will not work. My Arduino is connected. You want to upload it. And then on the top right, it says serial monitor. You can also access it from tools. Go on to serial monitor right over here. You can Control-Shift-M is the shortcut. I just prefer to click the top right. And there we go, it shows exactly what I want it to print. The command that I'm showing you right now gives me the ability to communicate from the computer to the serial monitor, through the serial monitor to the Arduino, and send back what I've said from the Arduino back to the serial monitor to present to me. To begin with, I've defined what type of variable I'm using. However, I haven't initially defined the variable. I will define it later on. I can't use the serial.readString command anywhere outside the void setup or void loop. It will just give me an error. Next, I've obviously activated the serial monitor. I've used the same baud rate that the Arduino Uno by default uses. You can also increase and decrease it. However, this is fast enough. The higher the value of baud rate that you include, the faster the transmission of serial data. However, since like I said, the data that I'm here is very simple, very small. The speed is not really a factor that I'm concerned about. In the void loop, I've used the commands if and else, which I obviously haven't taught and explained yet. I will explain these conditional commands in videos that follow up this one in chapter 2. Basically, what it allows me is it gives me the ability to filter if there's anything inside the serial monitor or not. So if there is not, then I tell the Arduino to do nothing. I've done this by leaving the curly brackets empty and not having any commands. If you notice, the curly brackets for else command is not empty. And the other route that it takes is that once I input data into the serial monitor, it presents it back to me. And I've done this through the command of serial.readString. This takes whatever has been inputted and stored and transferred to the serial monitor, stores it into the variable input, which I've defined later on. And then I take the input, the same input variable that I've used to link the serial.readString, and put it into the serial.println command. This basically prints what I've written back. And to put this into practice, we can use, obviously before starting, you want to make sure that your baud rate is the same, and due to the fact that if you do choose both NL and CL, there will be gaps in between your, let's say, your sentences or your string. if you wait too long. And if you do not want this, just click on no line ending. So for instance, if I write subscribe, it will present to me subscribe. 2, it will present on the second line, explain my channel name, and it will present it to me. So this is a very basic way of how to present data that you've transmitted through the serial monitor to the Arduino and present it back to you. Obviously, it does get more complicated the more we move on. However, you will get to understand it more the more we move on. Now, there are 2 other commands that I want to show you. They both are related to numbers. I have showed these previously, and you would recognize them as the variables. These are serial.parseInt and serial.parseFloat. So these both relate to numbers, and you can only use them for numbers. In this case, you are very limited in the sense of using this command, such as using a string. You can use any type of symbol. When you use parseInt or parseFloat, you can only use an integer, or you can use a decimal value, respectively. So for instance, the command that I've used right now, I've chosen the integer version. So for instance, I have to connect my Arduino, make sure that it's connected. My board and port are connected properly. I'll upload it. Open my serial monitor. And then now, since I've used an integer, I can only use integer values. So 5, it will show me 5. I can use -5, it will show me -5. I haven't put it in the new line. So let me just change that right now. It's just a quick change. I just have to add ln at the end. Let me upload that again. Open my serial monitor, and now I can do the same. So let's say I input 7. It works. And let's say I input -7. I should have cleared it. So for instance, 8 and then -8 shows me correctly, no problem. However, if I have, let's say, 8.5, it'll only show me the 8, -8.5, it'll only show me the -8. If you do want to use decimals and you want to be more accurate when you use your values, you just want to replace the int with a float. Obviously, the I for int is a capital letter, and the F for float is also uppercase. So float, it will highlight. You want to upload it. And now you can use any value. Even if you use just integers, it will display the decimal place. I can also present negative values. I can present negative decimal values. They still work, they all work. I will show 2 different projects following this video that will show very specific situations where you can use string values, primarily text, and where you can use float or integer values, obviously just numbers. We'll give a quick demonstration. You could also follow along. It will be very simple, very basic. All you'll need is just your Arduino. We will be utilizing obviously just the serial monitor when it comes for the first project. For string, we'll use the LED that's on the board for the second project where we use numbers.